Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, trying to take up this games with your time and bandwidth. Today's game is Inside. The makers of Limbo are back with another go-right platformer involving horrible child murder. Is this surreal trip worth taking? Inside is available on pretty much everything: Xbox, PC, PlayStation, Switch, and at MSRP's at $20, but it is also currently available via Xbox Game Pass, and the game will last you around 4 to 5 hours to beat in its entirety. So what exactly is Inside? Well, it's a puzzle platformer with heavy emphasis on its themes, striking visuals, and horror elements. The story is best kept unspoiled and honestly is intentionally vague, though it does present a good many number of themes that could be left for interpretation. For me, I saw representations of corporate dehumanization, the meat industry, police brutality, and the suppression of individuality as an example. The general gist is you play as a young boy who experiences both real and surreal things as he traverses through the world towards an unspecified goal. The atmosphere and visual elements are definitely the game's highlight, with its muted color palette and style that makes it look like a painting in motion combined with some genuinely horrific and surreal stuff working together to make the experience memorable. The main gameplay elements are puzzles and platforming, which are similar to the previous game Limbo, though a bit lighter. You'll be grabbing ledges and pushing objects around, pulling levers, and dying horribly on accident. The game does continually seem to add new and interesting things to do, however, such as controlling multiple other people at once, an underwater section with a submersible, and more. The point is that things never get boring, as the game seems to introduce a new puzzle scenario every couple of minutes, and also the puzzles are usually fairly medium in their difficulty, so it never gets too puzzle heavy or frustrating. And honestly, that's basically the game, as spoiler-free as possible: a short romp with some great visual elements mixed with horror, and you pull a worm out of a pig's butt as part of a puzzle. Yes, I had to mention that. What's not to love? So what do I like about Inside? Well, the visuals here are absolutely fantastic, with a real de-individualization effect thanks to its faceless characters and muted color palette. Additionally, the puzzles are overall very well designed, with most being fairly straightforward, yet still very satisfying. And lastly, I really enjoyed the storytelling elements of this game. The minimal amount of narration and direction worked well for me, giving me a lot to think about and deriving my own meaning from what the game was putting forward. When it comes to the bad, while most puzzles are good, some of the later ones did frustrate me a little bit, especially as you approach the ending, since they all kind of really only have one way to solve them, and if you don't do it that one way, you just fail. On that same note, there might be too many one-hit kill scenarios and examples of the game trolling you to kill you. The game does liberally checkpoint, but sometimes you can feel like your deaths were not your fault. And lastly, this story is intentionally very vague, and if you prefer games that are more narrative-driven rather than experience-driven, you might find this entire experience unsatisfying. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, and don't bother. I think Inside is absolutely worth playing. While it doesn't have the same visceral horror that Limbo did, its visuals and story stuck with me long after I beat it, and I enjoyed it even more a second time through thanks to Game Pass. It is a short, bite-sized experience that keeps you engaged with its environmental storytelling and well-crafted puzzles all the way to its insane conclusion. I would absolutely recommend checking it out, especially those who have access to it via a subscription service, and then go online and fight about what it all really means. No, don't actually do that. That's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you played Inside, let me know what you think about it in the comments, but regardless, make sure you go give it a look.